good? All right. All right. Well, let's get started. Sorry, 5 o'clock came up a little quicker than normal, but hope everyone's having a good evening. Thank you all for being here. I would like to call to order the City of Travelers Rest Council Committee meeting for Monday, May 11th. We will start with our Public Works Committee. Chair Lane. Oh, she's not here yet.
She's out.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll step in.
Okay, sorry. Go for it.
Introduce of the members are Grant Bumgardner, absent Lisa Lane, and then myself. Motion to approve April 6th, 26th, the Public Works minutes. Second.
All right.
All in favor? Director Tate.
Good evening. Just have one quick update. We have scheduled our next glass recycling event. That'll be June 6th. And we're going to have a change of venue for that. That will be held at Gateway Park, and we'll start pushing that out hopefully midweek this week due to the market being here and the crowd, and to be able to get through and not bottleneck over here. So that's all I have tonight.
Excellent. Can you give us an update on the Poinsett Extension project?
Yes, Poinsett project's going well. They did have a little setback at the end of last week with the rain. The stormwater infrastructure is being constructed now. In a couple of weeks, they'll be shifting over, and I'm planning to be out there tomorrow making some site visits with the business owners. We do have some signs in place, and we'll have some more signs going up. Then when they flip to the other side, we'll flip the signage to where it's a condensed detour route directing everyone back to the businesses there on Poinsett.
I noticed that we had quite a few signs out there and some of the businesses too. So I appreciate us to stand in that gap to make it more clear if there was any doubts. The light it looks like it's pretty close with the poles up at Tubbs Mountain.
Yes, they are in progress of constructing that, as well as the one at 25 there at North Poinsett coming into the intersection.
Okay.
They are moving along fairly quickly with that.
Yeah. Does
Are
anyone
we
in
just
council?
waiting on the electronics of all that to get put in so that they can actually hook them up and do the street work, or do you know?
I don't have an answer for that question, and I'll be glad to reach out to the contractor and get a definite answer on that. I'm sure they're waiting for, because the light at Tubbs Mountain and Poinsett, it's ready. I mean, the infrastructure's already been put in for it, so it's probably just some material or, even the contractor being backed up. I don't have a definite answer on that.
I did have someone ask me also concerning the crosswalk coming in at Main Street. I'm assuming, and this was just an assumption, that because it's getting ready to be the diagonal, that they are going to retime our Main Street light also because of all of that. Because right now, I think there's some issue with the turn lane off of McElhaney onto North Main.
That's correct. That's my understanding, and Administrator Herman, we met with DOT out there, and she may can enlighten a little more on that. But it is my understanding that all that's going to be calculated in and for the pedestrians there as well.
Councilmember Bumgardner, it is one of the critical projects we have upcoming, and we are waiting on the lighting contractor labor to be available to us. They're backed up, but that's what's going in place. The diagonal crossing is being studied by DOT for they are putting together for us communications on how to utilize the diagonal crossing. There are 2 other diagonal crossings in the area, in the Greenville County area, but it's a relatively new phenomenon, and ours is even more different. It's just the Travelers Rest way. So they are studying that and putting together that PR for us. We will be putting that out in June, and we anticipate the diagonal crossing to come in July. But not drone show weekend.
Clarify. I was going to ask just one more thing. The graffiti that we're spotting throughout the parks, is it the same graffiti, the same group, you think, or is it separate entities that are happening?
No, it's different tags, and fortunately for us, it's fairly easy to remove. So that is a fortunate thing for us, but it's different tags, different, I guess, groups.
Okay, I was just curious about that
Yep.
part. Okay. Does anyone on council have any questions?
Can I ask about the diagonal cross? Will they restripe or paint indicators on through the intersection?
Yes, they will, and it'll be painted such that bicycles will be encouraged to go through the diagonal, and walkers will be encouraged to go straight and make the L. That's due to the timing of the lighting. So to meet ADA specifications, we can't say walkers have time to walk through the diagonal. It'll be up to the speed of the walker. So we would suggest they go straight and then L over, and only the bikes go across.
Okay, thank you.
Well, that's going to be an education process because people aren't going to understand that at all.
It is, and that's part of the lining, I think, that needs to come into place to be clear about the bike versus the walk.
Is it because it's maybe larger than a typical?
It is
Okay.
larger. Yes, they haven't done it with the 5-lane highway before.
Anybody else? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you.
Sorry, I forgot to say fill up the flags on Main Street.
Oh, yeah.
I assume you went and put up everyone by yourself. You did a great job on that. But
Good job.
they look
Thanks for
so
reminding me.
patriotic, so whoever
That's the team.
made that
David,
happen.
Scott, and Abe made that happen.
Good job.
Yep.
Nice work. All right, Public Safety Committee Chair Byers.
Calling to order the Public Safety Committee meeting for May 11th. Present are myself, Shanice Chris, Cheryl Garnierno, and John Campbell. Lisa Lane is absent. Do we have a motion to approve the April 6th public safety minutes?
Motion to approve. Second.
Okay, all in favor? Okay. All right, Chief Ford,
Good evening.
anything you'd like to highlight on your report for us?
On the report there's a typo. It says year-to-date 2025, and right beside it says year-to-date 2025 again. Obviously, that's a typo. So it's 26 on the left there. So just wanted to highlight that. Also wanted to mention that during the month of April, we had, this is something new that I wanted to mention, a few cases that we had. Just to let everyone know that we're not just traffic officers and community officers, that we do have some things in the city. We had an extortion and fraud case involving a 76-year-old resident. $35,000 was lost by that victim, so we worked that case. Actually, the suspect said that they were me. They said
That
that
they were what?
that they were Chief Benjamin Ford and they needed $35,000. So we worked that case, still working that, trying to locate those suspects. We had a request from a bail bondsman regarding a fugitive with multiple warrants, avoiding apprehension that we helped with, SRT team helped with. And then we had investigators working on a case with ICAC, which is Internet Crimes Against Children, regarding downloaded images of a sensitive nature. So those are some of the big cases we worked during that month. Just wanted to highlight those and let you know that what was going on there. Couple other things, SRT received another commendation. They helped with some training at the Fire Academy. So they received an email thanking us for that training. We were recognized as a great group of special response team members at that time. And then the last thing is Henry Blake. We worked some graduation at Clemson over the weekend, side job. There was an 80-something-year-old lady that passed out, was having cardiac arrest. Henry called for backup. He revived her with CPR. EMS got there, took her. She coded again. They got her back again, and she is back well.
Wow.
So just wanted to let you know that some of what our officers are doing and how much we appreciate them. Received an email from the chief at Clemson thanking us for all we do and for our professionalism for our officers. So just wanted to bring that highlight to them.
Thank you.
Does anyone on the committee have questions for Chief Ford about the report? Anyone on council?
I'm going to say real quick, I'm not surprised about someone using your name, and I'm doing this for those that may be listening as well as those that are here. My job working at a funeral home, I know as a fact that there are families that are being targeted through the funeral home saying that they are employees, even owners of the funeral home, doing almost exactly what happened here. We're using that name, saying that there was some money that needed to be, and they extorted the money also. So
Absolutely.
it just shows the depths that people will go to in order to do that sort of crime. So just making everyone aware of that sort of thing. I'm sorry, but it does certainly happen.
Absolutely, and we'll continue to do educational campaigns and through social media and through the classes that Officer Blake is teaching out there and meeting with the citizens and the groups and the employees and the employers. We'll continue to spread that word to not fall for those things. So.
to build on that, I actually, maybe a couple months ago, and it refreshed my memory because a friend's parents went through that. They got a phone call from a 864 phone number saying it was the Greenville County Sheriff.
Right.
And that they missed a grand jury notice, and they had a warrant out for their arrest, and it was a whole thing, and then they try and get you to send them
Yes.
money and pay fines and penalties, so I didn't know,
Absolutely.
what kind of education we're doing around that kind of stuff, because that seems very serious, and people take it seriously.
It is, and actually, some of the banks, their employees have been trained on trying to talk individuals out of withdrawing large sums of money to make sure they're not being scammed. So it's really spreading now, the education is in multiple parts of society, so we're trying to continue to do that to prevent having victims. So,
And the best way to do that prevention is just to simply hang up the phone and either call the police department, call the business that might be, whoever it is, and ask and tell them what's going on and ask if it's real.
Absolutely. For anybody listening, please call us if there's any
Yes.
question out there. Absolutely.
I'll say this quickly. I think it was last year the Bank of TR came and spoke to council, but Brady with Call Brady would like to do something maybe here at City Hall for that educational component too, so.
Okay, absolutely. Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Chief Ford, I had a question from a couple of people over the weekend. The races that we have that are that are coming through our area, is there a way for, let's say, an HOA, or if people had questions, like when is the race coming into our area? I think not so much that it's about the race, but that it was like a community yard sale. And so they probably would have chosen a different time frame if they would have known ahead of time. Like, I know we advertise with signs, but is there some way that they can know by calling Captain Kelly, or can we
We
put
have
that
so
on
many
our-
of them that are scheduled. Is it on the app? Are they
what I
scheduled?
was
Are they
wondering.
put on a calendar on the app?
I think that our community, like the city, has a calendar of activities going on that
Is it
aren't
on that
just
calendar,
our
though?
events.
I'll have to check and see. I'm sure there's a way we can put it on a calendar to make it, known, but we have them almost every weekend.
Right.
There's another one this weekend. I mean, the city is so busy and so popular that we have them, like from now till probably September, it's almost every weekend.
Right,
And Sherry, you're trying to say like be proactive, because then they could look on a calendar and say, not
Correct.
that Saturday.
right,
Okay.
right.
Yeah, I'll check and see.
Councilmember Mayor, I would suggest that they do call the city, because while we do our best to make sure everything is
Like miss
uploaded there, we would be able to refer them to specifically look at that date.
Or they plan that event so far ahead, we wouldn't have the race scheduled per se.
Correct, and nor would we not accept the race because we didn't know about
Right.
an HOA event.
Yeah, I think it's more them moving their event around it, but I think calling's safer, but if we can also double down and do a schedule also, like on our app, is good, it's good to have.
Now, most of these races are actually planned almost like a year in advance.
Okay.
So, because as soon as they have one, they'll tell us we're going to do it again next year the
Right.
same day. So that's usually the way it goes too, just so the HOAs understand that it's that far in advance.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
Hello, Mac.
Good evening.
Is there anything you'd like to highlight on the fire report for us this month?
No, our call volumes, normal training hours are about the same as every month. So if you got any questions, I'll be glad to answer those. But
Does anyone on the committee have questions for Mac? Anyone on council? Okay, thank you. All right, Shannon, anything you'd like to highlight for the building and municipal court reports?
Chair Byers, I would just say we're holding pretty steady right now with our construction, all in the residential area.
I'm contributing to this right now, so, thank you. And anything with municipal court?
Not at this time.
Okay, great. Does anyone on the committee have questions for Shannon about either of those? Anyone on council? Okay. I motion to approve an MOU with Clemson University Police Department. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. This MOU allows the Travelers Rest Police Department to assist the Clemson University Police Department during times when mutual aid may be requested.
So this is the exact same MOU as last year. It's just been updated. We made a correction or a change in our policy that would, with the use of force, that complied more with working with them. So it's just a minor change. It's just updating it from year to year.
Does anyone on the committee have questions? All right, all in favor?
Does this have a timeline?
They're 1 year each.
Okay, so we can expect to do this every year?
Yes, sir. That's what Clemson, that's the way they prefer to do it. So, yes, sir.
All right, all in favor? Don't count Grant in that. Okay. All right, I motion to approve an MOU with Malden Police Department. Do we have a second?
Second.
Same thing. This allows the TR Police Department to assist Malden Police Department during special events.
So Malden has requested help with working the new Greenville Triumph Stadium down there that they have. I guess if you may not know that that's been at Furman. So that's what this is about, and they requested that we help with that. So.
Are we going to have any officers and travelers rest on the weekends?
Always first and foremost. We will never leave the city.
Just asking for all
Always.
those listening.
You-
Okay.
You have my word, yes.
All right. All in favor? Great, thank you. All right. And we have, I motion to approve an MOU with the South Carolina Attorney General Office. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. This MOU establishes an agreement between the South Carolina Attorney General's Office and the Travelers Rest Police Department to share access to designated 800 megahertz radio talks groups so the agencies can better coordinate during investigations, emergencies, and training exercises.
Simply communication with radios is all.
Does anyone on the committee have questions? All right, all in favor? All right, thank you. Okay, and next up we have traffic calming on Lumpkin Street. I motion to approve the installation of a speed hump at a traffic calming measure on Lumpkin Street. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. A neighborhood representative requested a speed bump for Lumpkin Street due to the large volume of traffic and observed speeding patterns on this residential street. Per ordinance 8-04-120 provisions for speed bump installation, after receiving a request, the city administrator authorizes a study to be done of the traffic conditions. Once complete and 70% of the neighborhood residents have signed a petition for the speed bump installation, the Public Safety Committee can move this item to the full council for a public hearing and vote of approval. Administrator Herman has determined the funds needed already exist within the budget, so no budget amendment is required at this time to complete the improvements if approved.
Thank you. In that first slide, you can see Lumpkin Street study was done February 1st through March 3rd. If we'll go to the second slide, it was conducted speeding and traffic complaints from citizens. We utilized the MetroCount traffic data collecting device. It measures volume and speed, giving us raw data. And you can go to the next slide. Posted speed limit is 15 miles per hour. It's only on one side, so that a new stop sign or a new speed limit sign is going to be added by Public Works, saying 15 miles from the other side, 15 miles per hour. From that month time period in February, speed limit of 14,617 motorists were traveling greater than the posted speed limit. That's 83% were traveling greater than 15 miles per hour. 29.85 were traveling between 20 and 25, and you see that 9%. And then the highest was 44.7, that somebody was going 198% over the speed limit. So I agree that there needs to be some calming devices there, and this is why this was brought to you for a speed hump to be installed there. I think we have also discussed maybe a stop sign like it is from the other direction too, but that's not a part of this right here. This is for the speed bump. And the last slide, traffic calming devices is the request. Thank you. I'm trying to go fast. So I can answer questions if anybody has any about that.
Do you know where it'll be installed in the street, if it's, or we haven't figured that out yet?
Ooh, I forgot something. I forgot the map. It will be from the Road side coming into the neighborhood before you get to the first intersection crossing there. So it'll be maybe a couple hundred feet into the neighborhood coming there. So they can't gain speed up enough to jump, so it'll be closer.
So between where Hurdy Drive and Lumpkin?
Yes.
connect
Yes.
between that and Row Road. Okay.
Absolutely. Kind of like the other side, but probably a little closer to Row Road than the other one is to State Park.
Is this permanent or like a temporary speed hump?
It would be a permanent installed. It'd be kind of like a up and over. It wouldn't be real tall, from my understanding. It's kind of just like the one on the other side, which is sloped kind of like an angle to where it's not too steep.
Are we able to do that in-house, or do we have to
Yes.
get a? Oh, great.
Am I right?
I believe we purchased the materials, and Philip, can you do that in-house? Philip's not here. David, can you do
Oh,
that
that
in-house?
is-
Oh, here
Oh,
it
there's
comes.
Philip.
Oh, there he is.
Well, we were asking if you could do the
In-house, right? We do that
speed hump
in-house.
in-house.
Speed hump? Yeah.
Oh,
Okay. Thank you.
There you go. man.
almost.
Just out of curiosity, how much does a speed bump cost?
Yeah. How much is the
It
speed
was
hump?
4,000. There's a couple pieces to it, and we identified 2 line items that we can utilize, but we are reimbursing our street maintenance line from, we had bought the dump trailer, which was coming out of capital lease. We bought it early out of that line, so we're reimbursing that $9,000. So we have the money in street maintenance to accomplish it. That and the additional signage if needed.
And there'll only be one hump, correct?
Be one hump, and I do have all the signatures from 70% in this file here, and have verified the addresses of all the persons also.
Are there any people who are really opposed to?
Have not
the
heard
speed
from one.
bumpers?
No, have not heard from one, so.
Does anyone on council have questions?
And Mac, I'm assuming you're okay with the speed bump over there? It doesn't cause any issues for you guys? Okay.
You just gotta go slow.
Or
Tell that
slower.
fire- Tell that fire to hold on. All right.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you.
All in favor? All right. Great. I think that's it. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you.
All right, Planning and Development Committee, Chair James.
I call to order the Planning and Development Committee. Those present are myself, John Campbell, Kelly Byers, Shanice Chris, and Grant Baumgartner. I have a motion to approve the April 6th Planning and Development minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? All right, Director Martin.
I'm just 2 items down at the bottom of the list, number 6 and 7. The Gateway Fitness Court, it was staked today. They start site work tomorrow. So if you drive by there, you see a bunch of stakes out there, and so there'll be site work and then the concrete. And then shortly thereafter, we should get all the fitness equipment and everything's going to be moving forward. The other one you've probably noticed, and if you saw the mayor's post, the construction fence is up out at Spring Park. That's a great thing. And that should be moving forward. A couple items that we have going. We are coordinating tomorrow with the artist to make sure when Dicey's coming, when she's going to be patinaed and arrive on site, and coordinating that effort. And then we just released an RFQ for a rustic American flag sculpture that'll go right beside the Charters of Freedom. It's going to be pretty cool, so we put that out, and we'll get those back on June 1st.
Okay. Anyone on committee have questions for Director Martin? Anyone on council? All right, motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
I feel like Shannon and Carson threatened everyone to be quick tonight. Did you guys notice?
You're a little too obvious.
It's budget night, woo! All right, Ways and Means Committee, Chair Baumgartner.
All right, I'm calling Ways and Means Committee to order. Myself, Sherry Mara, Kelly Byers, and Catherine James are present. Lisa Lane is not here. I would entertain a motion to approve the April 6th Ways and Means minutes.
Motion.
Second.
All right, thank you. Any changes? All right, and hearing none. Going on next, presentation of the 2026-2027 budget. Miss Shannon, do you want to do, you've got a presentation that we're going to go through. You want me to go ahead and do that before I make this first motion?
Yes, sir. If
Okay.
that works for you.
Okay, great.
Well, thank you, Chair Baumgardner, members of the committee, members of council. It is always an honor to present to you our budget. This is our third official annual budget, but our fifth together in 2 years. So Carson and I
Wow.
feel like we're really getting this, this pencil really sharp for you. We're very proud of what we've put together. I need to begin by thanking Carson for the hours and hours and hours that it does take to cull all these pieces. It doesn't matter how much we know them in our heads to get them lined up in the right columns. Is tedious, and it's important that it's done accurately. I also want to thank our accountants and our auditors and our municipal advisors who are very involved in this process. Budget looks a little different this year. We have moved into our capital modeling, and we're really proud to bring that to you. In our minds, this is the next really important step to sophisticating this process and ensuring the city that we have a well-developed and projected future along with our annual year-to-year. So not only can we assure you that this year we are budgeted and balanced and ready to go, but that we have a good look forward going forward. I'll begin by saying that we're going to always be conservative. So I feel very confident that the numbers that we present to you are accurate or will come out better. So that might mean we spend less, and it might mean we bring in more, but I would be surprised to see it go the other direction. We think it's important to budget this way because we don't know what the future holds, and so we want to do our best to be thoughtful, to be able to be mobile if needed, flexible if needed. So without further ado, oh, also, I need to thank Chair Baumgardner because he puts in a ton of hours with us as well. We have multiple sit-down meetings, we have multiple phone conversations, and truly his long-term experience with Travelers Rest budget and budgeting is invaluable to us as a team. So really appreciate it. And sometimes it's just telling us, you ladies have it, keep going, and that is really important to us. So. We always begin with our strategic plan and council's initiatives. You'll see we've dropped in our new goal-setting retreat objectives here that you guys provided for us. That helps us really identify what needs to happen with the funding that's coming in. So we really have been focused on your four core objectives, the initiatives that we've been working towards in our strategic plan over the last several years, and then your specific retreat objectives. At a glance, what's working? Our revenues are stable and growing. We have stable property tax base. That's really important because year over year, that's about 50%, well, 40-something% of our revenue share. We have a strong hospitality performance. This is great because it allows us to do a little bit of the fun stuff, the community development stuff, but it also can support our police operations as needed. Up to 50% of the fund balance can go to that. Conservative forecasting and remaining competitive in our salaries. Our salaries were our major step we took forward in the last 2 years, and so we don't want to go backwards there. What's changing? We are seeing growth moderating a little bit. We believe that there are a number of factors behind this, and we're watching it. We're not concerned, but we are watching it. This budget shifts a little bit of a maintenance and moves to a long-term stewardship of major assets here. We are seeing rising infrastructure needs, and those are expensive. So we need to, make sure we pay attention. Our city campus is no longer new, but we want to keep it looking and behaving like it's new. What we're watching: economic sensitivity, tourism volatility, capital cost pressures, gas prices, and insurance premiums. Insurance is a double-edged sword. We'll go over this a little bit in the budget. And then our strategy: maintain our reserves, be conservative with our assumptions, move to pay-as-you-go with capital as we can, and align our capital improvement planning with our prior operational performances. So we'll look and see how our actuals did before we enact the next year of the CIP with you. The CIP is great because it gives us a 5-year plan, but it's mobile. Year to year, you reapprove it. So. Budget summary. And so as we go into this, I think the highlight here is that we are positive. We're balanced and positive to the tune of $2,261. So we used all of our dollars that we anticipate coming in. But then, and we started talking about this last year, we're going to recommend, as you'll see, we're going to go over our 50% target of maintaining a revenue forecast. We want to keep 50% of our forecasted revenues in our fund balance under general fund. And remember, we're fund accounting, so single funds here. And we want to authorize a transfer based on our performance last year to go into our capital projects. This allows us to move to a pay-as-you-go rather than always relying on debt issuance for some of our capital needs. It's a good place to put money as a infrastructure savings account is in our capital fund. Your general fund balance really should not behave as a savings account. So what you'll see is a net change in fund balance, a use of $547,739, but our operations are positive by $2,000, if that makes sense. We're all balanced. We do include a 3% COLA. Last year, we talked about doing a 2% emergency fund. That happens in this budget now. We're going to transfer a large sum to capital fund for large infrastructure projects. All of our funds remain in a healthy fund balance position, and I'll share that with you. We add 3 part-time positions in this budget. A victims advocate goes to a full-time position. Teresa more than earned that, and going to work more than full-time for us, I know, in this position. So we're really excited. That required us to backfill a part-time dispatcher position, and we are going to include a part-time codes enforcement agent. This is in direct response to council's request at the budget retreat. We're also going to add a social media communications contract. This will allow us to get more communications out there, taking some stuff off of Beth's plate and allowing us to amplify other areas in her department. Our police are requiring a new records management system. The old one went out of business, and the new company that took over was not sufficient for our needs. This is happening across the county, so that's a slight increase, but we believe we're also going to get an improvement in service there. We have several stormwater drainage systems that are going to require cammering this year to the tune of about $10,000, so you'll see that in our street maintenance funds. And unfortunately, we are seeing insurance premiums skyrocket across every category of insurance. So that is included here. So that's when I say we're in a maintenance. We're really working on maintaining our stabilization of salaries and health insurances as we go. The volatility in the economy that we're watching, gas prices are going up, insurance premiums, obviously, and we're watching our capital interest rates. When interest rates move, your capital money coming in for development changes. We know that there's a lot of capital money parked and ready to be spent. Our municipal advisors assure us this. The bank talks to us about this, but we're waiting to see where it wants to come into the market. We are also watching our capital money to make sure that we're actively recruiting commercial as it's available. That's a hard recruitment structure, but it is important for us. It's the biggest bang for our revenue buck as we go forward. I wanted to start with talking about what are our revenue sources. So for better or for worse, we have top 5 producing revenue sources. About 82% of all of our revenue comes from our ad valorem, our insurance fees, our business licensures, our utility franchise fees, and then our building and inspection permit fees. Ad valorem being by far the largest, 54.3%. This has grown more than double since 2019. This is your property values as well as your growth in number of property structures that you have. Your insurance fees is your second largest, and this is growing because insurance premiums are higher. So we are seeing some return in the revenues because of that, and it's a pretty significant source, over $1 million. But of course, our insurance costs us a lot as well. So double-edged sword there, but it's grown about 76% since FY 2019. And then our business licensure, and we have to thank Renee every year for the diligent work she does here, is our third largest revenue source at 11%. And this is slightly more volatile because as we have more construction, we have more business licensure. We charge every roofer and every fence builder and every concrete layer. They have to pay a business license when they're actively working in the city. When we see construction kind of slow down, which we did see in this year, we anticipate that's going to go down. So our actuals of last year were a little bit lower, but we have more construction coming up this next year, so it will come up a little bit. But we do watch that, and we do temper it in our projections. Some revenue highlights. We do have strong multi-year-over-year growth, and business licensures have been growing rapidly but are moderating. Our insurance premium fees are a stable secondary source. We don't anticipate those going down anytime soon. And our investment earnings went up 3,823%. So Carson and I are particularly proud of that. Just to give you a little behind-the-scenes information here, Carson moves that money on a weekly to monthly basis. So we keep a good reserve in our basic account, so it's available for payroll and anything that we anticipate coming up, plus extra should we have an emergency. But the rest of it right now is going into LGIP. What we're looking at now is, do we have any longer-term opportunities, the 9-month to 12-month CDs or things of that nature, where we can outperform LGIP with some of this overage that we have in there that we know we wouldn't use in a 9 to 12-month period. So there is a little opportunity to improve that investment just a little bit further. I think what's really interesting here is to look at our 3-year average growth in each of these funds. And what I'll point out to you in the beginning is that year over year since 2024, we've grown 5.6%. But we did not grow 5.6% this last year with reassessment. So that's a little bit of a it's a little bit of a skewed calculation. And so when we project out for this year and next year, we've taken our actual COs, our certificate of occupancies that we have issued or we plan to issue, and we've conservatively based off that. So I know the number that we should bring in based on those COs, and then I back it down a little in case we get delayed with construction. And so this year and next year projection of ad valorem, I think is pretty close to what we'll get. But then every year going forward that I project out, I'm only using a 2% because we never know what the capital markets are going to be. So we don't want to project at 5.6%. I think that would give us a much rosier picture than I can actually guarantee to you. Obviously, I can't guarantee you anything, but I think we have to be careful on that. But we do see a negative growth in the building permits over time. We just haven't been building as much. Expenditures by departments. 72% of our expenditure goes to field operations, and I think this is a really appropriate mix. The vast majority of that goes to public safety, police, and fire. Our annual growth for this is $500,000 or 5.7%. Again, we did a 3% COLA in this, and our insurance rates go up 12% for health insurance. Then we also have insurance rates for tort liability and casualties and things of that nature. So that's really what's going into this, plus those 3 part-time positions and a little bit of a communications contract. So we do have fire truck deck service that we're paying this year because we issued that last year for the fire truck that's supposed to be coming in soon here. That's kind of the majority of what you see going on in your expenditures. This is in general fund. Budget projections. All right. Don't freak out when you see the line dip down. Again, I reminded you that I'm projecting in the future on a 2% growth, but we've actually seen a 5.6% growth. So this year, what's important on this slide is the steady line. That's our target. That's keeping 50% of our anticipated revenues. All right, so if our revenues right now are $9.2 million, we're keeping 50% of that in our fund balance. It's just sitting in our fund balance, being invested in LGIP and hanging out with us here so that if we have anything going on, we can cover that. As we go forward, I have a very conservative projection for 28 for our actual COs that we believe are going to be issued. Some of the projects coming on would be the Leva apartments are coming up. We've got Woodlands building out, so that'll help our business licensure a little bit. We don't collect ad valorem taxes on that. We've got Villas of North Valley really building out. The Refuge is really going to be building out at that point. So I think this is a very conservative projection. You see it just kind of dip below that 50%. I think we'll hit that line and maybe even exceed it. But again, I want to give you very fair expectations. So you see it kind of stays stable up through 2031. That's a 5-year projection. That's really all we need to worry about. But if you did not see continued growth, you would see that 2% will not keep up with your COLAs and your insurance premiums and things of that nature. This is just a further highlighting of the revenue trends. Again, you kind of see that slowing growth. Remember last year, and we're hitting that line on the money, you see it between FY25 and FY26, there wasn't a lot of growth. With reassessment, we only came in, we budgeted to only have 1.5% growth, and we had 1.5% growth. That's well under what we typically do. Our other revenue sources, other than accommodations tax, we saw growth, and business permits. We saw growth in those as well. The business permits, we will see those go down again with the construction. So those two kind of make sense between reassessment and a little bit less construction this year. But everything else is kind of projecting upward slightly, and so we know that we're kind of staying with a stable revenue growth trend. I really started digging in on ad valorem. I think this is important for us to do. And again, I'm just going to remind you, very conservative projections here. I think that your FY '28 and '29 will beat these, but if we don't, we're still in good shape. We're still going to be, 40 to 47% of our revenue projections hanging out in our fund balance here. But I did want to see, you can kind of see in that first chart where we dip down off the growth trend for the first time. Some things I thought I'd highlight here is kind of the growth that we see between each fiscal year, so that you can see it's really erratic, which makes it hard to really project off of. And that's a product of Travelers Rest growing, Greenville County growing, capital markets shrinking a little bit when we had, just the economy tightening in this last little bit. And then, just kind of reassessment. All of that kind of comes into play there. But I am projecting 4.2% growth this next year and 4.7% growth the year after that. Again, a little bit below that 5.6%. I wanted to give you our fund balance as a comparison to our peers, keeping that 50% target. That's not required. I think you have to have between 25 and 30%. So you do have, as a council, lots of flexibility within any year based on what may go on, but 50% is a nice conservative, good fund balance so that you know that no matter what comes up, Travelers Rest is going to be able to handle it for the next year or two. And you can make other adjustments there. But as you can see, we kind of beat everybody in the upstate that we mark against here, except for Simpsonville. Simpsonville's keeping a little bit more. And to go back to this, part of the reason you don't want to keep larger than a 50% fund balance and why we recommend making the transfer to the capital projects, which we're going to go into next, is you want residents who are paying taxes now to experience the benefit of those taxes now. So first and foremost, public safety and your operating staff, right? So we get our COLAs and our insurances and all of that covered. Then you get your basic field operations covered. But also it's important to build out the parks. It's important to resurface the roads and restripe the parking lots and to host events that are community oriented. So you begin to take some of that money and say, well, this, how can, now that we're in a good stable condition and we can promise the taxpayers that we're in a good stable position, how do we take that money and then reinvest it in them in their current now, so that the city is enjoyable now? And so that's what you see in our capital investment program. Here we begin to move into major infrastructure investments. Dicey Langston Heritage Garden is one of them. We are paying attention to our deferred maintenance that we need to have on all of City Hall campus, and our trucks and our vehicles. Those don't fall into City Hall maintenance, but we do need to pay attention to those. Downtown beautification, we need to put a little bit in here every year for this. We do really well because our Public Works Department is very inventive, and they think really hard, like the flags, Mayor Amadon. We were looking at those. We found a very expensive solution that that was being advertised to us. I said, this is cool looking, and they went out and found it for a very reasonable price by ordering supplies and hanging it themselves. So they're very inventive to stretch those dollars that way. We do have money in here for Parks Master Plan improvements, and we do that year over year, coming out of the funds here. You can see on the second column here the funding source that we recommend, and what you'll notice is that we're moving into using the capital projects fund as our funding source, and then we can transfer between other funds, whether it be general fund balance, hospitality fund balance, accommodations fund balance. We can transfer those into capital projects, but that way now we have a very clear alignment of where we're spending money and how we plan to spend money, and it's going to show you how you have the capital to back up what you may or may not want to go into debt service for. A reminder that we plan to alternate every other year for equipment replacement cycles. That allows us to measure the cost of debt. Right now, we make money on our debt because our LGIP return is higher than our debt service premiums. So we're making a little bit of money on that. That could change at any time. And when we go to look for, replacing our police Tahoes and building those out, it may be better for us to pay for those in cash than to roll them out in debt service. So you just have to watch that year over year. We are shifting, I would say, from major growth in infrastructure to more of long-term asset management. I think that's a smart thing to do right now until we see what the capital markets are going to do. And then we are working to align our capital with our operating capacity. So if we build something, how much does it cost us to maintain it going forward? So that what you see here is sort of a 5-year projection of what we think we would do. I did not name the Park Master Plan improvements because we haven't gotten that recommendation back. So I just left us room year over year to grow that a little bit. So this is your capital fund balance. Out of this year, we did have some equipment replacement. We need new mattresses in the firehouse. We are going to buy 5 sets of turnout gear. Turnout gear is very expensive, so we kind of try to do this annually so we stay on top of it, but we need our firefighters fully protected to go into a hot scenario. And then we have radio upgrades in here. And what you see is all of this prior CIP is funded out of the capital equipment. So if you were to fund it just out of, I'm sorry, where did that go? If you were to fund all these projects just out of your cash and your capital fund balance, you could accomplish that through the 2031. The reason you see the fund balance coming back up is we're projecting to move money into it, but there's no expenditures past 2031. That's your 5-year plan there. So so you have the money in there to do it, and so now year over year we can accomplish the projects we've put forth in front of you, and we can measure what kind of debt would make sense or pay as you go would make sense going forward. So pretty good, pretty healthy. Hospitality tax, we saw 3% growth overall, month over month. Every month it grew this year, so that's good. This is used for amphitheater programming, drone show, downtown park maintenance. We use a lot for our downtown and park maintenance because that is a huge draw for people being out and about and moving. Our Christmas decorations, the lights in the trees, that comes from this. We also get a little bit of general fund support from this. This year we did up that to make the numbers work out nicely. So about $350,000. It's about I forgot the revenues off the top of my head, but out of almost $1.5 million, that $350,000 is what we use to support our general fund. So it's still well below the allowances of state law, which is 50%. So this is a very healthy fund. Here's your fund balance projections. This is assuming we transfer into, I think it's a $240,000 transfer year over year into general fund. And that's for police support and things of that nature, facade improvement. I see Carson moving over here. She's looking up the numbers for me. But so you see that fund going pretty steady. So what it is we never recommend spending more than we anticipate bringing in. So we don't really bring that fund balance down. This fund balance can purchase infrastructure improvements as well. Can be a source for cleaning up your downtown if you were to have an emergency, things of that nature. Local accommodations tax not doing as well. It's a slight month over month, except for in November. That was a real bad month for us, November, December. Decrease this year from last year. But again, this is a small revenue source, so a small decrease shows up on the map here pretty big. This is used for recreation and event sponsorship. It's meant to pull people 50 miles or further. This is not your state accommodations tax. This is your local accommodations tax. It's used for printing and marketing, tours and promotion, some of your downtown events, browse and stroll, holiday hops, railroad parking lot. We take care out of this fund. So again, up to 50% of this fund can be used for police services. And this fund's pretty healthy. It has a healthy fund balance of about $500,000 in the bank now. We recommend spending or transferring about $100,000 a year into your capital projects because these are major infrastructures that draw, tourism to the town. So you see a pretty healthy fund projection going all the way through there. New this year, and I think this is really important and should give council, some good comfort, is this 2% emergency fund earmarked as restricted in the general fund. So this sits in the general fund. This does not count towards your 50% target. This is on top of that. So if we were to have a Helene again, or God forbid, a riot or something of that nature, you have immediate operational funding in there to the tune of $185,000 or 2% of our projected revenues that you just begin operating out of before you have to worry about, can we afford this emergency? I think this is a really smart, really conservative mood here. And then we did get a nice reimbursement from FEMA that helps us build this up. We did have a cash reserve account. And in addition to that, we're going to recommend in the capital fund a $38,500 to be used to build out your EOC. I think you'll see this. Right now, I only have it planned for 1 year. We want to build out our list, but I'll probably next year add to the CIP because we noticed during Helene, when we had just stood up the EOC, the value of having that in town and not having to go into Greenville County. We have excellent partnerships with Greenville County. They will come to us. For instance, they're going to come help us staff drone show and bring the mobile command unit for that, which is awesome since that's one of our heaviest visitation days. But, you know, in the meantime, during an event, an ice storm or something of that nature, we're able to keep all of our folks here and remote in and out of the county with their EOC. So just keeping the city well protected. We've instituted early action planning. We've instituted after action reviews. We learn from every single event that we have here, and we continue to get better and better. For instance, we learned this year that we have to take down the shades over the playground in the winter because they freeze. And so that was noted to us, so we've written that into our winter planning going forward. So, you know, these kinds of things that we continue to learn from. Those shades are expensive, so we are not going to freeze them and crack them. Okay, so I think this is kind of the main event here. So the forecasting, let's look at our risks and realities just to be smart in our financial planning. Our revenue is concentrated in a few key sources. If we see those key sources get hit, we know we have to really pay attention here. Our ad valorem growth trend is kind of decelerating, but it's still growing. So we're not concerned about it, but we are watching it. We have economic sensitivity in our business licensure. Obviously, you know, as businesses don't bring in as much revenue, we're going to be impacted. As construction slows down, we're going to be impacted there. There's always going to be volatility in tourism and in our investment income based on, you know, people's abilities, economy to move around. And we do have rising capital and maintenance obligations, you know, that are going to go on. Those are always a risk in reality. So our financial strategy is to maintain our conservative revenue forecasting, strengthen our fund balance reserves, as you see, prioritize pay-as-you-go capital funding so we're not reliant on debt in order to maintain the assets that we have, limit our reliance on debt and one-time revenues. Those should really go into fund balances or one-time purchases. Those should not be used for operating. Managing our growth responsibly, aligning our capital and operational planning, and maintaining our financial flexibility allows us to prepare for economic variability. And that is the end of my presentation. I will just note that our line item budget has changed just a little bit in order to reflect our audit. We worked with the auditors to make this happen. So you have any questions about, there's a few categories where it's sort of collapsed down. We still maintained those line items, but to make sure that our audit for the public, our audit reads like our budget and then gives you those projected out 2 years. We went with the new model.
And many thanks to Carson, actually, so that all of you are aware, she had to go through this line item by line item to figure out which ones to consolidate and which ones to break out and leave separate. So she has a ton of time wrapped up in this, putting it all together this way. So Carson, thank you very much for, that's an awful lot of work.
My final thank you, and I should have led with this, I apologize, is to our department heads. So we talk about this every single month, and they issue expansion requests to me. They submit expansion requests to me. They're very thoughtful about what they need, and so I think we've hit just a really great stride between sharing this is what I need and understanding that there are constraints. And so they work with their teams in-house. So this shouldn't be a surprise to anybody in the field either, that we have these regular back and forth conversations. Very much a team sport here.
Well, and that shows when we get our audit and we notice department heads, thank you so much in this, because it comes back that you, in almost every case, have always underspent what is actually in your budget. So thank you very much for being aware of all of that. That makes us really look good, and you're all are the ones that are doing that work. I'm going to also say, Shannon, thank you for all your energy to put all of this in proper alignment, to use this new software so that we can all benefit from it. It's going to take us a little bit of time. I'm speaking for myself, and I assume everybody else also. Looking at this, this is so different looking than what we have looked at before, but we've never had the opportunity to project out and see how things might look as we sit right now going towards into the future. So I think that's going to be an awesome tool for us to be able to use. It just gives us a better way to project into the future and watch trends at the exact same time. Let me go back to on the budget summary page that we very first started off with. There's nothing dramatic in any of this.
We don't have that one.
We are not doing much of anything different this year. We're adding the 3 positions. We're giving a COLA of 3%, doing a little bit of social media contract, all of these things. I just want you all to know that the biggest thing that's on here, the biggest question mark that is on here is actually the insurance increases. So you all probably saw that, and probably most of us had a heart attack when we actually looked at that.
We did too.
So Shannon has been wise in estimating what it looks like insurance costs are actually going to be. However, we're not going to know what that's actually going to look like for months. Insurance is upped and reissued every calendar year, correct
For the
on that?
health insurance, yes.
Yeah, so we're not going to know exactly what that's going to look like. Therefore, where we are right now, what's in the budget right now is completely covered based on where we are looking at and projected increases at this point. However, suffice it to say that it is possible that once the actuals actually do land, we may need to re-examine this, and we may need to do a budget amendment as we come up into the first of the year. However, we will reevaluate that as we get to it. Both Carson and Shannon have that on their sites because it is such a huge increase. I know that from my own sense, and that I found out this year. I went back and actually looked because I had a pretty hefty increase in my own property insurance, and I have found out that in the last 3 years, my insurance has doubled. In my homeowner's insurance. So what we're seeing here is just not any
And is this like,
surprise. The good thing, and Shannon, I don't know if you said this or not, the bad thing about this is that insurance costs are going up. The good thing about this is there is a fund that we get that the state keeps track of this, correct?
Yes.
And insurance companies actually have to pay into the state for the insurance policies and insurance dollar amounts that they end up writing within the City of Travelers Rest, and it is sent back to us. So that fund is actually increasing, surprise, but it's increasing, unfortunately, because everyone's policies are going up. So that's kind of a good thing and a bad thing in all of that. The capital funds, let me say, this might help some of us in thinking about the capital funds. The capital funds are really investing back into our residents. That's what that fund really is how we can invest back directly into our residents. So the capital, am I correct in this also? I know that we don't have a lot coming in capital expenditures this year. As a whole, our capital fund expenditures really are on an every other year, a large every other year calendar, are they not?
Well, yes and no. When you're talking about equipment funds, kind of every other year is when we expect to go to spend a lot. But we actually do have a fair bit of going on in our capital improvement this year. So it's our highest, our second highest, I guess, projected year. We have some funding coming into Dicey, some of it from capital projects, $250,000 from the city's funding, and $250 that we're hoping to bring in from grants and private funding in this year. And then I pushed out till next year another $250 in grants and private funding. And we believe that will get Dicey Garden up and going, the Heritage Garden. We've got new sidewalks in here. We've got deferred maintenance, and that we build out a plan in-house on that for what needs to be accomplished in this facility. So we're kind of splitting. You're gonna see some improvements to the front lobby that we talked about last year towards the end of the fiscal year, and then kind of rolling into this fiscal year. Turns out that bulletproof glass is very expensive, but we do think that's an important upgrade as we have staff sitting up front relatively unprotected right now. Some painting, we got some painting done last year. We're getting some more painting coming in this year. Our downtown beautification, we're going to keep that about we find that's a good amount for us to spend over and over on capital improvement of downtown beautification. Last year we put in some garden beds, we put in the railroad parking lot, things of that nature. Street improvements, so about every other year, we're going to look to do some resurfacing. We can match any funding that we have with C-Funds money, but it has to match dollar for dollar. So last year we didn't do a big project because we had Poinsett Highway going on. We get a small amount allotted to us every year from C funds and an even smaller amount from the county. So it's about $150,000 that we receive, and then we can match that with C funds money. So about $300,000 to street resurfacing in there, and that should get us about a half a mile worth of resurfacing if we just pour a new blacktop down and put some lines on it. And then Parks Master Plan, this year we've got about $150,000 from capital projects and Parks Master Planning, and then we receive a $23,000 grant every year from the county, this PARD, Parks and Recreation Development Grant. So we would anticipate taking our first bite of Parks Master Planning with this funding here. And then next year you see that pop up to about $250,000, so I think we'll probably be ready to do a little bit more. And then we go from there. And then our emergency preparedness, this is for the EOC. So it is a pretty robust CIP plan. We're not doing anything, but the capital equipment is going to be the every other year that we look at going forward. That's so if we issue debt, there's a cost of issuance. We have to pay the attorneys, we have to pay the bank to close it. So we want to kind of like maximize that. And I think it's a good rotation schedule so that you don't have all your vehicles coming in at one time.
And that's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah, we've actually got some projects going on, but not any capital expenditures in equipment. Okay, I'm just gonna go for a motion right here. I'm gonna go right on, and then we will have more of a discussion. Presenting before council the City of Travelers Rest fiscal year 2027 general fund budget by making appropriations, levying taxes and fees for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2026 and ending June 30th, 2027, to provide for budget control of said appropriations by the Travelers Rest City Council and such other matters related to therefore effective July 1, 2026. There is hereby levied upon taxable property within the city limits of Travelers Rest, South Carolina for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2026 and ending June 30, 2027 as ad valorem tax of 82.9 on every dollar assessed valuation combined with other anticipated revenue accruing to the City of Travelers Rest shall be sufficient to produce $9,293,968 in revenues. Fiscal year 2027 general fund expenditures are $10,576,108. In addition, the incorporated rate fee schedule is approved and fully set forth as part of the ordinance unless otherwise amended by City Council, and the incorporated capital improvement plan is approved and set forth verbatim as part of the ordinance unless otherwise amended by City Council. That is my motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. This coming before Ways and Means, as I have done in previous years, I am not limiting this to participation by just Ways and Means members. Please, all of council, please join in conversation if you would like. I am putting it is out there on the floor. Do I have comments? Okay, don't everybody talk at once.
So, question about the insurance situation, and is that, since I'm newer to this, is that something that is, we're kind of stuck with what we have? What does that look like? At what point do you effectively shop around? I don't even know if shopping around is something you can do in this situation, or what does that look
Councilmember
like?
Gunniero, did I get it right?
Yeah.
I've honestly tried to avoid saying that out loud. Okay, great question. We do shop this. And so last year we went out with an RFP for our health insurance provider. And that actually garnered us great savings because they got to go to the market. We've been with the same provider for almost 20 years and the same insurance company for almost 20 years. And they were like, hey, we may get kicked out. We need you to be your most competitive. So last year we only had a 5% raise, 5% on the employer, 5% on the employee. We budgeted 12%. We were able to absorb the employee's raise too. And so what we learned from that is if we stay healthy, it's easier for them to bid lower for us. And they want to keep us in the thing. So we had a okay year on that. And so I anticipate, based on the market conditions, we're probably going to be somewhere between 10% and 15%. But we felt like 12% was a good return. On health insurance, we cannot bid that out again for another 4 years.
Okay.
But they go to the market and they bid all of the providers on our behalf, and they bring them to us and they show us this is the best deal that we could get, and we get to select from the deals that come back. So there's an RFP even within the health insurance broker. For our casualty and tort and all that, we get to go out and bid those policies. I believe we have a casualty policy going out right now, an RFP for that. Right now, we shop them as well as we can. That being said, we know the market is tough, and so we're anticipating even with shopping it and looking for the best deals, we're going to have increases. What we do know is the increases that we project right now for the providers that we do have.
And some of the increases that we're seeing in general, is some of that also from just bringing on new employees, or as we're expanding, obviously, from a health insurance perspective or more equipment? Is that a part
Yeah,
of that?
excellent question. We just brought on, 40 acres of land we're responsible for, and we have casualty and tort liabilities for those. Additionally, we've moved to a better police vehicle, so it's a little bit more expensive to insure as well. So yes, when you have nice things, they cost a little more to insure. So it's a double whammy that we have going on right now between having a little bit more quality assets and more assets to manage, as well as the market increasing.
And so the 12%, you're thinking that would be the city and the employee side, or are you just trying to maybe?
Mayor
try to
Amadon,
absorb
it's a great
that?
question. Right now, that is the city side, the employer side. So to the extent it doesn't go over that 12%, we could absorb the employee's contribution. We want to do that. That is our top objective. But if it goes over that, we do need to kind of come back to the drawing board to evaluate.
Sure.
Our employees have not had to increase their premium contribution in quite a number of years, which is excellent. We want to make sure that we still get them high quality insurance, even if their premiums go up. Again, you're talking about 12% on maybe a couple $100, a month. So it's not as dramatic as the entire bill, but we know that every dollar out of our employees' pocket hurts.
Great, I appreciate that.
And this is
Thoughtfulness,
also
yeah.
part of the reason that we say we may come back. We're going to reevaluate this and see as it goes along anyway, to see where we are at the first of the year. Any other comments, questions? All right, hearing none, I've got a motion and a second to send this on to full council. All
Second.
those in favor, right hand, please. Got all four of us, thank you. Moving on, this is for the local hospitality and local accommodation tax budgets, to send them on. Presented before council, the local hospitality and local accommodations tax funds of the City of Travelers Rest, by making appropriations therefore, and to provide the budget control of said appropriations by the Travelers Rest City Council, and such other matters related therefore, effective July 1, 2026, and ending June 30, 2027. That is my motion. Do I have a second?
Second?
All right, thank you, ma'am. Questions, comments on the hospitality and accommodations? And I'll say this, just so that those that are listening know this. These two funds are restricted funds. We are very limited on how we may spend the income that comes off of these. The expenditures have got to be approved and within state law in order to actually spend these. We can spend a little of this into our general fund, but we're limited on how that works. So anyhow, that's how these two funds actually operate. Questions or comments on hospitality or accommodations from anyone on council?
I have one for are these projections taking into account the different, so for example, they're building that additional, at the station, that additional building that will be an event space / more rooms. Is it bringing that in an account for that, or is that something that we don't account for until it's built and ready to rock and roll?
Councilmember Guerrero, it's a great question because it's part of the magic sauce of budgeting. So you want to get as close to your projections and as close to your expenditures as possible. In hospitality tax, we've done sort of a general percentage improvement. So this is percentage improvement of 3%. As that comes on, we may see an even greater percentage. So this, I did not go back to COs to pull for that. But projects such as that really do improve the performance of this fund.
And let me make this a little more confusing for those of you new on council. This is our Travelers Rest local accommodations tax money. We also get money from the state, but that is that is limited on what we're able to spend that on and how we're able to use it. In fact, there's a formula that the state gives us in how we're supposed to use that. That money from the state is not a part of this. This is just strictly our own money that we gather from our own hospitality taxes. Any other questions or comments? All right, hearing none, those in favor of moving this on to full council, let me see hands, please. Go, we've got everybody, thank you. All right. We're going to talk about the Victims Advocate Fund. I have to say that way, otherwise it's like Red Ribbon Week. Presenting before council the fiscal affairs of the Victims Advocate Fund in the city of Travelers Rest, making appropriations therefore and to provide the budget control of said appropriations by the Travelers Rest City Council and such other matters related therefore effective July 1, 2026 and ending June 30, 2027. That is my motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, thank you. This is to send our Victims Advocate Fund on. That budget is also included, nothing fancy with all of that. Great thing is that we are though going to make our overseer, we're going to make full-time.
Yes.
Is that entire salary coming out of this budget?
Yes, sir. That's all you see in this is a salary towards, which is a contribution towards the actual salary of the victim's advocate. These are off of fees that are paid for at the municipal court level. They're very small. We've paid great attention to this budget over the last 2 years. We've been audited by the Victims Advocate Agency, and we've really learned what we can and cannot fund out of this. The great news is going to full-time, it makes it very easy, but we anticipate we'll bring in about $18,000. We have a small fund balance in there. I'm sorry, $8,000. We have a fund balance in there of $18,000. So we're, rolling that full amount towards the victim's advocate salary, which is of course greater than $25,000.
Am I remembering also correctly, is that money that's in that fund timed? Is there a certain time that we have to actually expend that money?
Yes, but I think now that we're getting to where whatever we bring in every year is just going to go towards Teresa's salary, since it's a full-time position, that makes it very easy.
And that's what I figured also. I just couldn't remember. And we've got a great person that we're going to put in charge of all of that.
Beyond great, the best in the state,
Yes.
Right?
objectively.
So, the anticipated revenues are half of what they were the couple of previous years, and then all of the other expenditures are blank. Is that just being absorbed into a different fund?
No, I think that's finding the actualities of bringing the funds in. They weren't coming in as high as we were anticipating them in the budgets.
Okay, and then the expenses of retirement, postage, fuel, office supplies, those are just being moved to a different fund.
We're just covering those out of the police account because her salary is more than the rest of it, than the actuals going into salaries. So it makes the accounting really easy.
Any other questions on the Victims Advocate Fund? All right, hearing none, those in favor of moving this on to council, hands please. And we've got us all. Thank you. All right, moving on to the Tree Mitigation Fund. Motion presenting before council relating to the fiscal affairs of the Tree Mitigation Fund of the City of Travelers Rest, making appropriations therefore, and to provide the budget control of said appropriations by the City of Travelers Rest City Council, and such other matters related therefore effective July 1, 2026, and ending June 30, 2027. That is my motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. This tree mitigation fund is in favor, in front of you. Any questions through this? Jay, let me ask, we have been moving some funds out of this and expending a few funds as we go along for this also, correct? In this past year?
Councilmember Baumgartner, I'm going to jump in here because if
Okay,
you
thank you.
speak numbers to Jay, he's going to glaze over. He'll tell you
Saw
that.
his face.
That's,
There
yes,
with
we
his
do.
crayons.
We have expended some funds out of here. So obviously, we've been working towards our tree-friendly policies and planting with trees upstate. Additionally, we have some pretty extensive responsibilities in terms of the tree maintenance and throughout the city with the tree maintenance in there. We did not expend as much out of this as we wanted to this past year because we just really couldn't get to advertising the grant programs that we have in here. But we think that that's our next great step in this next budget is to really advertise, can we pull up some concrete in your parking lot and put a tree in for you? And we've identified a couple places where we can approach folks, but folks may have that on their own as well. And so we really want to get out and solicit this opportunity going forward.
Now, I know, do we not still have some damage on our property from Helene that we need to take care of?
Yes, sir, we do. I've met with Philip pretty recently, and we're having some inventory done in Gateway Park, as well as our property that we own across the street from City Hall. We do anticipate we'll have to bring down several trees as we've been monitoring the root systems and such. So we have Schneider Tree Care works with us, and is that who does our assessments as well? Okay, and so they are going to present to us a list. We may actually bring you a budget amendment based on the amount of trees that we have to maintain due to Helene.
Is any of that reimbursable because it's Helene damage at this point? And I see Philip shaking his head right now.
Yeah, I think we're done with our reimbursements from Helene at this point. But we can definitely use this fund to do that work.
And the 25,000 impervious removal beds, that would also be grant funding?
That is the grant funding, yes.
Okay,
We've
it's
had
this-
very little utilization of that so far, if any, in our actual expenditures.
Any other questions or comments? All right, hearing none, those that are willing to send this on committee, on to full council, hands please, and that's all of us again, thank you. All right, my time is ending. I'm now going to talk about the GO bond, all right? So this is presenting before council the City of Travelers Rest fiscal year 2027 before council relating to the fiscal affairs of the general obligation bond of the City of Travelers Rest, making appropriations therefore and not to exceed $240,000 on behalf of the City of Travelers Rest City Council and such other matters related therefore effectively July 1, 2026 and ending June 30, 2027. That is my motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All right. This, for those new on council, this is how we built the building that you're sitting in.
Yeah.
And it is renewable each year. It's just the loan that we took out, and it's simply renewable each year. And we're beginning to come to the end of some of this, if I remember. No, maybe
No,
not.
sir, this one goes on for quite a while.
Oh,
Is there a
never
schedule?
mind.
Do we have a schedule of the bonds?
We do have a schedule.
Okay, would you mind sending that to us? It's just nice to see, yeah.
So, but this is how we finance the building that we're sitting in right now. Any questions or comments about the GO bond?
Councilmember Baumgartner, we have that schedule. We can pull it for you right now.
Oh, okay, great. This is just the GO bond, but, right, just that one, or is that all
We
of
can
our
show you
bonds
all
that
of
we-
them,
oh,
but
perfect,
they're
okay.
separated by category.
Right, it's just nice to see.
This is why she does all of this, you all. She knows where to go and find it.
I asked that question so Carson could flex in front of all of us.
So as you can, so it's confusing. The GO bond pays the commitment that we've made on the IPRBs. And what you see here, and we weren't able to freeze the columns, but what you see here is year over year what's anticipated to be paid out. You got the series 2017 on that page 3. 2013, rolls off pretty soon. 2022 is here for a while.
That's the one that I was thinking.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Importantly, to add to that is that your GO bond is the only bond that counts towards your debt limit as a city. You, as a city by state law, you must remain under 8% of your total expenditures for debt, and we are well under that, so we're doing well there. And then also, we did have, and very importantly, we had a rollback in millage. So citizens are being charged less. We were at 88.9 mils. We rolled back with reassessment because our value of the mill grew, the value of the properties here grew. So we rolled back to 82.9. That's a significant improvement for residents. 5 of those mills are your debt millage that you issued for this building. So that's the $240,000 that we're able to issue in the GO bond.
Any other questions or comments on the GO bond? Thank you, Ms. Shannon. All right, those in favor of sending us on to council, hands, and we are all unanimous on that. Okay, we have got that, and I will ask for, am I done? Yes, so I will bring committee to a close. Do I have a second on that?
Second?
Ma'am?
Great, thank you so much. All right, old business, we have none. New business, we're going to quickly go into executive session to discuss appointments of our boards and commissions of the ATAX committee. This will be just a few minutes if you want to hang out with us. Do I have, I know I need to take a break. Do I have a motion to go into executive session to discuss appointments for boards and commissions?
Motion.
Okay, second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, thank you. We are back from executive session. No vote was taken in executive session. I would like to make a motion to appoint as our new ATAX committee member.
Mayor
Mc-
Amadon.
I'm sorry, we came out of
Mayor
executive
Amadon,
session.
we have to take a vote to come out of executive session.
Do I have a motion to come out of executive session?
Motion.
Kelly, second.
Second.
All right, thank you. All in favor? I don't know why I'm blanking on that tonight. Okay, moving forward, I make a motion to appoint Mackenzie Elliott for ATAX committee member. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Sherry. Any discussion?
I'm going to say so
Yeah,
that
please.
this is known also. This is for the Travelers Rest ATAX Committee to spend the state funds. So that's what's confusing about this is actually a committee that oversees the spending, the recommendations to council for spending of the state ATAX dollars that come back to us.
Which have specific needs and recommendations. For example, Mackenzie is fulfilling the arts bucket for us.
Yes. The applications are actually taken by our state ATAX committee that we're talking about here for recommendations on to city council for spending just specifically of the state funds that we get back.
Any further discussion? All in favor? All right, motion carries. All right, Shannon, I know you've done a lot of talking. Do you have anything else for our administrative update?
Mayor Amadon, just quickly, I want to thank everyone for the Dicey Donor Dinner, for participating in that. We had 56 attendees at the dinner. We had a number of donations for the dinner, after the dinner. It was a great night. There is great enthusiasm for the Dicey Langston Heritage Garden at Spring Park upcoming. Also, I want to put a plug out there for people to mark their calendars for June 26th, which will be the statue dedication. There will be a Dicey Langston heritage or family reunion here this weekend. Beth is working with the merchants to make sure that we advertise the weekend and have great specials going on along our downtown route. And then June 27th, which is that Saturday, is our drone show. We have alerted staff. We're prepared for this and look forward to a great turnout. Beth has rewritten the drone show. It's a whole new show.
So cool.
So, you know, year over year, we will tax her to keep us interested and entertained. So we're very much looking forward to it. So please mark your calendars. We would also like to have a staff potluck ahead of that. And Councilmember Mara has volunteered to organize some council people leading the staff dinner, as staff will be pretty occupied right up until that. So if you want to sign up to help set that up, see Sherry and myself, and we'll get going on that.
The only thing I swore I would never do again is make s'mores. Other than that, I'm there for whatever you need. All right, great. Does anybody have anything for the good of council?
I did want to ask, is there a donation button that people can donate?
Absolutely. On our website, we have an entire page for Dicey and multiple ways to donate. You can donate online, you can donate in check, in person. We will, if you are inspired to give, we will find a very convenient way for you to do that.
And is the drone show our official 250 celebration, or will there be okay.
Yes, but also we do hope to have the Charters of Freedom up for Constitution Day for a dedication, which can also be a kind of tag on to 250
Which
for
is
that.
in September, right?
September 17th.
The 250, they're trying to spread them out a little bit too, because so many people are kind of doing the 4th of July, but I think it'd be nice to do before the 4th of July rush, and then we'll have another celebration for Constitution Day. So we'll hit it in a couple different spots, which would be great.
We'll celebrate a lot.
We will.
Out of curiosity, do we have a general estimate of what we think might come to the drone show? I know we had quite a big turnout last year.
We had 3,000 people here last year, which is the largest the park has ever, largest attendance the park has ever held. So we've done a lot of planning to try to move traffic after the event. I mean, it's just like going to a Clemson football game at some point, or coming to some sort of big event. There will be a slow traffic movement out, but we have done a lot of planning to make sure that it's safe and that we can move emergency vehicles throughout that. We've also put additional sound out on the track and the park on the track, so that folks who stage out there and sit out there will be able to hear the voiceover to the drone show. So I think we're planning, we estimate it will grow from last year. We got nothing but rave reviews after last year. I think last year was a curiosity of what is a drone show, but I didn't hear one person leave who said they're not coming back. So we anticipate growth.
Anyone else? All right, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, thank you, guys.
Good job, Grant.